Filipino Maid, laughed at by rich family, she shocked them years later. Owning mansions in the US, the marble floors gleamed as guests entered the mansion, but the laughter echoing through the hall wasn't joyful, it was cruel. At the center stood Maria, a young Filipino maid, quietly polishing silver trays. The rich family she worked for mocked her accent, her simple clothes, and her very presence. "Just a maid," they whispered, loud enough for her to hear. "She'll never rise above this." Maria lowered her eyes, swallowing the sting of humiliation. What they didn't know was that the woman they treated as invisible was silently building a future far brighter than their chandeliers. Years later, across the ocean in America, the tables would turn. The very family that once laughed at her would stand speechless at the gates of her mansions. Mansions she owned, built with her resilience, and guarded with the dignity they could never take away. Maria grew up in a small coastal town in the Philippines. Her family lived modestly, relying on fishing and her mother's market stall to survive. From a young age, Maria carried responsibilities beyond her years. She was bright, determined, but opportunities were scarce. When she turned 18, she left her village to work as a domestic helper for a wealthy family in Manila. At first, she was grateful. Her wages supported her siblings' education, but the treatment she endured chipped at her spirit. Before we continue this story, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure to subscribe now. The family's children teased her for her broken English. Their guests smirked when they saw her cleaning. Sometimes, at parties, she overheard cruel comments. Imagine being born just to serve others. Maria endured it all with quiet strength. She sent her salary home, ate leftovers without complaint, and saved every peso she could. Yet inside, she carried a dream. She wanted a life where she wasn't invisible, where she wasn't defined by her job, but by her worth. One day, while cleaning, she found a discarded newspaper, an article about Filipino nurses working in America caught her eye. Their stories of struggle and success sparked a flame. Maria promised herself, one day she too would go to America, not as a maid, but as a woman with dignity and purpose. For years, Maria saved quietly. While others spent, she pinched every coin. At night, she practiced English with borrowed books. Eventually, she applied for a work visa as a caregiver in the United States. When it was approved, she wept with joy. Arriving in America, Maria faced new struggles. She worked long hours caring for elderly patients, sometimes holding 3 jobs at once. But unlike her life back home, here she felt respect. Employers valued her honesty. Patients adored her kindness. She continued saving, not just for survival, but for investment. She learned about real estate from co-workers, attending free workshops on her days off. Her first purchase was a small, run-down house. She renovated it herself, renting it out for steady income. That first property gave her confidence. Soon, she bought another. Then another. By the 5th year, Maria had built a modest real estate portfolio. Turning her savings into a growing business, she lived frugally, reinvesting profits into new properties across different states. With every deal, she learned the language of contracts, mortgages, and investments. The woman once mocked for her broken English now negotiated with bankers and lawyers. Before we continue this story, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure to subscribe now. Don't forget to hit the like button and press the bell icon so you never miss our new stories. As years passed, her empire grew. She incorporated her business, hired staff, and expanded into luxury rentals. Her reputation as a trustworthy, hard-working investor spread. By her 15th year in America, Maria owned multiple mansions, each more lavish than the one where she had once been humiliated. One summer, Maria hosted a charity gala at one of her mansions in Los Angeles. The event was glamorous. Guests included politicians, celebrities, and business leaders. Reporters covered her story as the Filipino maid who became a mansion queen. Among the attendees was a family visiting from Manila, the same wealthy employers who once mocked her. They had fallen on harder times financially, but still carried their pride. They entered the gala as guests of another sponsor, unaware of who owned the estate. When they arrived, their jaws dropped. The grand mansion, the gardens, the luxury cars, it was all Maria's. The moment of truth came when she stepped onto the stage in an elegant gown, greeted with applause. The family recognized her instantly. The maid they had laughed at was now the host, the owner, the success they could never match. They approached her hesitantly afterward, forcing smiles. "Maria, you've done so well. We always knew you. It was special." Maria looked at them calmly. "No," she replied, her voice steady. "You only saw me as a maid. But I always knew I was more than that." Then she turned to greet other guests, leaving them standing in silence, humbled by the weight of their past cruelty. News outlets praised Maria's journey, calling her the Cinderella of real estate. But unlike fairy tales, her story wasn't about luck. It was about perseverance, sacrifice, and vision. Maria used her wealth not just for herself but for others. She created scholarships for underprivileged Filipino students, funded housing projects for poor families, and built clinics in rural villages. Her legacy was bigger than mansions. It was hope. For domestic workers across Asia, Maria became an icon. She proved that dignity can't be erased by uniform or status. Her message spread. Being a maid doesn't define you. Your strength, your resilience, your dreams, that is who you are. As for the wealthy family that once mocked her, they became a quiet lesson whispered in Manila society. Their arrogance had blinded them, while Maria's humility had lifted her to heights they could never reach. Before we continue this story, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure to subscribe now. Don't forget to hit the like button and press the bell icon so you never miss our new stories. Maria stood one evening on the balcony of her mansion, overlooking the city lights. She thought of the girl polishing silver trays, enduring laughter, in silence. That girl was gone. In her place stood a woman who had built an empire with her own hands. Her story carried one undeniable truth. Never underestimate the one you look down upon. Tomorrow, they might own everything you once thought you had. Years later in America, wearing a business suit, holding mansion keys, standing before her luxurious estate. The contrast shows transformation.